welcome to Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens, your personal networking concierge, where we interview the best power networkers in the greater Philadelphia and South Jersey area. Thank you for joining us on your lunch break, 12:30, 1 o'clock on Thursdays. And I am here with, I have the privilege of interviewing Patrick Gallagher. So Patrick, thank you so much for being here today, man.
Of course, man. I'm very happy to be here with you today. I'm really bummed that I didn't get the tour of the studio or the access to the hairdresser, but I did what I could.
Yeah, I think it works out. I think you're tipping your hairdresser as much as you can.
Yes.
Well, you are the owner of Promotional Guidance, so tell people who you are, what you do, and what makes you awesome.
Sure. So Promotional Guidance deals primarily with promotional items, and the guidance aspect comes into play where I like to guide my customers through their decision-making process when they're ordering promotional items. And a promotional item is anything that has a logo on it or is handed out or sent to customers, or signage, apparel, uniforms, anything that's going to broadcast your logo and help your branding. And I've been doing it for probably brand scheme over 20 years now.
Wow.
I'm on stop 6 in my journey through my career, and this stop is actually my own company. I just started Promotional Guidance back at the end of January, went out on my own, and in January, beginning of February.
Wow.
Completely perfect, ideal time to go out on your own in an industry that focuses on live events and meetings.
So tell me more about what made you decide to get into this particular industry? Even 20 years ago, like, where did you start?
It was one of my first temp jobs out of college, and here I am 20 plus years later.
Yeah.
It was not an active choice, but once I got into it, there was a lot of creativity in it. That you were working with a lot of creative people, finding creative products, using your own creativity in it, and it was just a natural fit. Actually, I moved to Los Angeles right after college, so that was in 1998, and I was temping out there doing different office jobs, and I wound up at a long-term gig at Walt Disney Promotional Products Division in Burbank at Walt Disney Company, doing all of the internal promotions for their different internal departments and brands. When XD TV launched, that was a big campaign that the Disney Promotional Products team was doing to kind of get that word out on the streets of promotional products.
Right.
And then down the road, from there, I went into some character licensing. I did a lot of stuff for Nickelodeon and Warner Brothers and a lot of their characters. And then I came back to promotional products, where I was also promotional products provider and licensee for CBS.
Wow.
So for about 6 years, I did all of the merchandise for CBS Survivor. I've got one of my mugs right here from way back when.
Right.
The CSI, when CSI New York launched, that product launched. How I Met Your Mother, that launched, and stuff for Amazing Race. So really did a lot of entertainment marketing, and through that, and well as associations, smaller businesses, financial institutions, moved back here to Philadelphia, and been doing it for local and still some national companies ever since.
That's awesome. So take me through the difference between working for Disney and working for CBS.
So I was truly an employee. Well, I wasn't an employee. I was a temp at Disney.
But still, I mean, it's Disney. It's the happiest place on earth. I feel like I need to know more about this.
Oh, sure. It was a very fun department. I didn't get to do anything for the parks because park and entertainment and park and hospitality management, has their own sources for this stuff. But in the company, there was 2 large towers in Burbank, and that's where all of Disney pictures and consumer products and the studios, television kind of lived. And then down the road was the actual studio down the road, which I got onto several times to see product launches and launches for different properties coming up. And it was fun. We were a great little group. When I worked for CBS, I was a third party. I was not a CBS employee, so we were more of a vendor. They also treated us really nice. I was on both CBS studios in Los Angeles as well as their headquarters over by Ed Sullivan Theater in New York City.
Right.
And they had a wonderful little shop at Ed Sullivan Theater, the CBS store, and Yeah, it was fun to walk into a store and see like 70% of the shelves filled with stuff that came either from my brain or my sourcing or something like that. So that was pretty awesome.
So
Yeah, if you went to, sorry.
It's okay. So from working in those kind of companies, those corporate and like, you know the names, CBS, Disney, how has that translated into, now you wanted to take your experience and put it into your own brand, into your own business? Take me through that decision.
That is a great question. Like I said, I've been doing it for a long time. I've helped companies of all different sizes, and some of them have full marketing departments and style guides already made. And those style guides need to be adhered to. And obviously all the properties I did for CBS came with style guides, and you need to follow these colors. It needs to be this, it needs to be this, it needs to be this. Whereas some smaller companies and local companies don't have a style guide. They have a logo or two. But as you're kind of getting it into the brand and working with it, you can make some changes to it, and you can make it horizontal, make it vertical. You can add a background to it. You can add pieces or extra text to it.
Right.
And as I started doing that a lot for companies, that became a passion of mine, even as much as the sourcing the really cool next product or the next thing.
Right.
So coming out on my own and creating promotional guidance, I kind of put that into it. I really wanted a brand that could stand out, and we're only 3 months old, so we'll see where it goes still. Yeah. But I wanted to be able to have a logo that I could play with and do all these things that I recommend to other companies, and I want to help other companies figure that out for themselves above and beyond just throwing a logo on a pen or a notebook. Like, is the logo that you are showing people, is it representing your brand? Is it representing who you are? Are the products that you are offering to people representing you?
Right.
Are you just giving out a stress ball and a pen, or is there something deeper into the meaning for the items that you're giving out?
Right. So
Did that answer your question?
It does, absolutely. So take me through what it's like to work with you from start to finish.
Start to finish is obviously I get for a couple of years there. Most of my new business was coming from referrals,
right,
which is great. So it is somebody already knows that I've been doing good work for somebody, and now there's a lot more networking going into my growth, especially since I'm out on my own.
Yeah.
So it's getting to know me. Obviously, we both adhere to the like, no trust, and so it's getting to know me. It's getting to know what I've been doing. I'll happily talk about myself day in, day out, be it the Los Angeles, the CBS, the start of my own business. So yeah. I'm an open book when it comes to that. You're going to learn who I am, what I do, and why I help companies. From there, everyone has websites, and there's websites out there to buy products, but are you picking the right items? So I don't want people going to my website. I don't want people spending their time, scrolling through filters and all this kind of stuff. I want them to tell me, I have an event coming up. It's this many people. This is the theme. This is the logo. If you have it already, this is my budget, and I want to work with you specifically to come up with the items that you're giving out. And I work with a lot of third-party marketing and event planners. So by the time it gets to me, I'm already, second or third contact. So they probably already have some guidance from their customers, but I'm not just going to hand back a presentation and say, here's exactly what your customer wants, because some of them might not work. Right. So I want to have input in those products. I want to make sure those products are coming from reliable vendors, and I want to pitch or sell something that I think is going to really work for your event, as opposed to just the cheapest tchotchke on the market right now.
And what do you think?
Then from there, hopefully we get some of the products buy-in. We get logos, we do proofs, we do mock-ups, final quotes, goes to production, and that's when things really kind of ramp up, because I hate to say it, but there's a lot of issues I've had with production partners. And one of the things my wife just drives her crazy about my industry is that I can do everything right. I can pick the perfect product, the perfect vendor, just nail it on my end, and then something goes wrong in production, after production, in shipping, and I can get people pissed at me or angry or something delayed and lose a customer, and I've done nothing wrong at all.
Right.
So in order to combat that, you got to really stay on top of those orders, stay on top of the suppliers, and react instantly if something is going wrong.
So take me through. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go first.
I lose sleep over orders. If I get a notice that something might not ship on time, or there's an issue with UPS and it might not be there, and we try to give ourselves 24, 48 hours anyway before an event, but it's not going to be there that 24 hours in advance. I'll start to lose sleep. I'll start to lose focus on other tasks, and I will be calling that vendor. I will be tracking down specific hubs at UPS. I'll be looking at other vendors who can make the same item and produce them 24 hours overnight to make sure they get there. And then once they get there, breathe a sigh of relief and hopefully get to do it all over again. But you can do everything right and still something weird goes on, and these factories, you approve a proof, you approve a specific imprint color, shows up, imprint color slightly off. It's not my job to argue with the customer. It's my job to figure out how to get them an exact repeat order with the right colors.
Right. So can you show me some of the images that you have today of just the progression of your own logo?
Sure, if I may speak about that real quick. So right now in this kind of shutdown, there's not a lot of products being ordered at all. Mm-hmm. So a service I'm offering is a logo review and maybe a mini style guide. One of my goals in promotional guidance is to grow beyond just the promotional products and turn myself into a branding agency as well, primarily focusing on that physical branding, not so much the whole 3,000 foot view of a company, but the physical branding. So what I'm offering now, again, is a logo review and a couple different versions if you want to take advantage of that. So here we have, I don't know if you see a cursor or not,
yes,
but
we do.
In the top left as you're looking at it is just the logo. And then you're going to add a couple different contact info options depending on who you're reaching. Email address is not needed on everything. So I've got one with an email address, one with just the websites. And then we move to horizontal for a more narrower, longer imprint area. Keywords are very important for companies that may not know who you are. Mm-hmm. Granted, they can go to your website, they can give you a call, but if you're not giving them keywords to say what you're doing, why are they even taking that first call to action? Right. If you are doing a street fair or a trade show and you're just giving out pens and notepads, hundreds of them at a time,
right,
there needs to be a keyword or something on there. But you can't just have a phone number and an email or a website because it's not giving anybody a call to action to check out your websites. Obviously, you got to look at one color. You got to align it right for a business card. I've got a smaller one here for just the little web social media icon, your top of your Facebook page, top of your LinkedIn page. And then for pens, you're not given a whole lot of room on pens and other smaller items. So there's just a text version.
Right.
And going above and beyond this, I want to help companies with their email signatures and their letterhead. And do they do thank you notes? And how does the logo appear on that? The signage, if you're doing yard signs, that is something else that you're going to go above and beyond any of those logos you already have.
So Patrick, when we come back from break, we're going to talk to you more about your tactical tips and practical takeaways and how vision and marketing and how all of these branding opportunities are fantastic to help grow your network. We'll be right back.
Great, thanks.
I want to be a contender. I want a warm belly to sleep on.
A big house.
How do I look? Do I look good?
I want to play hard.
My nails done once a month.
I want
a home. I just want a home. I want someone to love.
Last year, more than 30,000 companion animals came to us without homes. 20,000 of them were felines. Let's make some homes together.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Iorio. I'm the host of Rainmakers Roundup right here on RVN TV. The show is about looking for people who are in competitive businesses that are doing something different and unique in the world of sales and marketing. Join me right here on Rainmakers Roundup on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. and then again on Thursday evenings at 6:30 p.m. right here on RVN TV.
Today's show is sponsored by Dr. Jacqueline. Take charge of your life personally, financially, and professionally. Visit drjacqueline.com to book an appointment today.
Welcome back to Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens, 12:30 on Thursdays during your lunch break. I am here talking to Patrick Gallagher, who is showing us and teaching us more about his logo creations, promotional items, and identifying the best ways to network based off of your branding and personality. So thank you, Patrick, for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Patrick. So
good.
Do you appreciate it? Okay, good. How's your coffee? I saw you had a coffee cup there that I'm a little jelly about. I should have brought my own.
Tea.
Whatsoever.
Tea.
Oh, it's tea?
Green tea. Yeah.
All right, good. So tell me more about your networking strategy. I know how important it is to have a visual representation of your business. I also feel like that's also good when you're in person and going and being a part of these events, these webinars, these networking opportunities. But take me through your own personal journey through your networking and figuring out what your own strategy has become.
Sure. So one thing I do recommend is above and beyond a business card, something that fits in a pocket that you can hand out. I have a little microfiber cloth and a vinyl pouch. I don't have one sitting in front of me on my desk, but I can put my business card in there. And you give them the business card, which goes in a stack with the 100 other business cards. But then you also get the microfiber cloth that will most likely be used or left on a desk for a little bit, just for the uniqueness of it. So it's one thing that I recommend when networking. My networking journey started probably about 3 years ago, and I really considered myself an introvert and really did not want to network. It made me very uncomfortable, gave me a lot of anxiety. To a point, it still gives me a little bit of anxiety, but I went to events anyway. I knew it was a way to build my business, and the first networking event I went to, I met this really nice young woman who introduced me to another networking group and invited me to that. Nice. I went to that one. That was probably 10 times the people that were at the night before.
Wow.
It was very overwhelming. And I walked up to really the sweetest, nicest looking lady there who didn't look like she could, jump down anyone's throat. And I started a conversation with her, and she invited me to a referral networking group. Nice. In the Chamber of Commerce of Greater Montgomery County. Nice. And I showed up there the next week, and between that group and then the chamber, just kind of a snowball rolling downhill. But the two things I took from those two events, and something that I kind of paid attention to in future events, was you can look for, if you're anxious, if you're nervous, if you can't start conversations that easily on your own, especially in large groups, either go to the extrovert, go to the person who's drawing the people in and just stand next to them. Eventually the conversation will get to you. Yeah. Or make it easy on yourself and go to the person standing by themselves, or the sweet looking person who looks like be it your mother, your grandmother, your uncle, or someone who's just going to be a nice, comfortable conversation. Even if they're in an industry completely different than yours, just finish that conversation just for the confidence that it gives you.
Right. And do you think that you had to learn that by doing it, or do you think that could have been taught?
I think it could have been taught. I think some bullet points along that line would at least lead you in the right direction. And I definitely, but I didn't have those bullet points at the time, so I learned as I went. Yeah. And I can remember an event probably 4 or 5 months after that I walked into, and I'm starting to, I think, get my sea legs underneath me, and I'm starting to feel confident about myself. And I remember just 1 or 2 30-second commercials / introductions that just bombed. And I was like, who was I? What was I saying?
Yeah.
Can't remember. Was it a first thing in the morning event and I just hadn't turned on my brain yet or anything?
Yeah.
But it didn't stop me. I went back to the same groups and I met that same person again. And the one person I really remember bonding with that first time became a good networking partner of mine.
Right.
Because I just let it roll off my shoulders and start again.
Right.
Nobody's 30-second commercials are important to get to know someone, but if you're committed to networking and you're meeting people, you're not going to remember that very first interaction.
I think we all put our foot in our mouth at one point, right? We all kind of been like,
Yeah.
you know what, this is what I do, this is what I'm selling to you, buy my stuff, and then you realize very quickly that that's not how to do it. There's, especially, I loved what you were talking about going into different events and talking to the wallflower. That's actually something I love telling people to do, and or at least coaching and teaching people to do, not telling anybody, but going to events, because those people are typically the most creative and in decision-making positions, and are usually there to identify ways to connect. So when you get somebody like myself who likes to go into a room and peacock it, because we've done this for so many times, you're right, sitting next to them or at least being around them and identifying, that they're, the fact that they're an influence in that space, you're right, the conversation eventually does go to you, but that person's also very much interested in learning more about you because they enjoy the attention. So they enjoy the conversation. So then their goal is to see how they can help you, or at least in my experience, those are the kinds of extroverts that I've met that are very good at networking, but also very intentional when it's one-on-one. In a space, it allows them to meet as many people, but really the goal is the one-on-one. So that's their way of doing it. And to your point, the wallflower may do one-on-ones, but at a smaller rate, with more intention behind it once they get to those actual meetings. And I love that. I think what you're saying is great. But everybody has that social anxiety. I still get nervous going in and talking in front of people. I still get nervous walking to a networking event that I know nobody there. It doesn't happen as often as it used to, but it gives me a chance to go in and kind of practice what I preach, going into a room and identifying the right people, but also encouraging other people to meet each other. So
I think it's important for everyone, but introverts specifically, to understand their rhythms and their energies and their highs and their lows and their mannerisms, their habits. I think that maybe not every event is for every person.
Right.
And if you have an important event, maybe that day, like, don't do a lot of outreach, don't do a lot of Zoom calls or anything. Pick that as a low stress day at your office, so that by the time you get through the day, you've been looking at a screen all day, barely talked to anybody, you do have some of that energy built up. I mean, if you got 4 events in the 1 week, for some introverts, they might not even try to schedule that, but some might try to, and just by the 3rd, 4th events, just burn out and stand in a corner. And standing in a corner isn't horrible, but you gotta weigh each event and the ROI you're gonna get from it by managing your energy, I think.
Of course, and the ROI is not necessarily, there's no ROI with networking, but there's an ROI with your energy. So that energy to you can be an investment in your time, which is also very, very important. I think it's fantastic, and I think that it's so relatable. I think people, they go into an experience where they're just not sure. But to your point, I loved your resiliency when it came to going to these events and being like, I screwed up. I messed up real bad when I went to these events. And I put my foot in my mouth and I kept going and I was resilient, and you fought for it. And that allows you to kind of be this crafted, diamond after a while, because that's kind of how it works. You're just chipping away and like trying to find your own stride. What I love too is that now, I know the world is a little crazy right now, but when you decide to start your business, how did you shift your own networking activity?
I started doing a lot more. Actually, when I started my own business, my first 60-day plan was to get my brand out there, both through the groups I was already involved with, as well as a couple of new groups, and taking every networking opportunity that was handed to me. One of the great things about starting my own business is I didn't have employee guilt, for another word, for other words. I didn't feel like I had to be at my desk all the time. I didn't feel like I had to be checking my email all the time. Felt like my day could be my own. So 4 events in one day, from King of Prussia to Southampton and back to Montgomeryville, all over the place. Let's do it, So I really jumped into networking with both feet, especially just to get my new brand and name out there.
That's amazing. And so how has it been for you? I know it's been crazy, but like, how have you taken a lot of your networking activity? Because there should be a very good balance between virtually and on-site. And now that we've kind of switched over to virtually, how has that been for you?
I'd say it was a bit mixed.
Yeah.
I kind of took the first week or two off to really figure out what was going on.
Same.
Little kids here, wife working from home, trying to figure out my work schedule plus networking schedule and their schedules.
Right.
But now I'm back into it, probably doing 2 to 3 events a day right now.
Good.
Which I wasn't. So I'm actually doing more now.
Than you were before.
4 weeks, 5 weeks into this than I was probably beforehand because I can do
now.
it from the comfort of my living room.
Yeah, we have more time now. To be able to do this.
Exactly.
And especially for women too, we have more time to not have to get up and get dressed. We can put on just a little bit of makeup and then just filter it out using Zoom's filter option. But I think that people are now networking more than ever, especially because it's so accessible and people are thirsty for engagement and education. So
I find myself asking networking partners at these events for more one-on-ones right now because there's no one-on-ones in a Zoom networking event. In a room, there could be 30 people and 10 to 15 conversations going on. But in a virtual event with 30 people, there's unfortunately one conversation going on. Right. So in order to catch up with people or meet the new people, I can't take 5 minutes after the meeting anymore. We are now setting up official one-on-ones to get to know each other.
Right, and there's no gatekeeper, meaning like they don't have a reason not to. They're home. We know you're home. But they also, especially if there's a mutual beneficial, conversation happening, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are going to become clients, but there might be resources that you can share and collaborations you can work on to make the, to nurture the network even further. So tell me more about go ahead.
No, you first.
So tell me more about the transition of networking for yourself more than networking for another company. How was that for you?
I like it. It's easier to talk to people and it's easier to convince people to come on board when it's for you and you know that it's your values, your mission, your neck on the line kind of thing. And one of the first phone calls I made when I went out on my own was to your great friend, Sarah, to join Power Match. Because I've known about Power Match for going on 3+ years. And the company I worked for before didn't really see the point in that investment if it wasn't direct ROI, money out to sales in. Whereas I did get it. It's not about sales in, it's about networking partners. And so that was one of my first calls. And just what a godsend that is during this time right now. Like I'm just getting emails once or twice a week says, you've got a meeting with these 2 people set up, are you going to attend? Yes. And I'm not doing any additional work, but answering that email and showing up and talking to some great people. So I know you get a lot of Power Match support in these episodes. And I'm right there with it.
Having that option of having me matched with people that are in like-minded industries is extremely helpful, especially if you're new. And I'm not saying that you're new to the networking portion. I'm saying that it's a new venture that you're working on yourself. So it's really exciting for you. So do me a favor, tell me 3 tips for networking that you would suggest to people.
All right, I'm looking at a list here. Give me 1 second.
Oh, take your time.
3 tips. Even if you're nervous, even if you're anxious, show confidence, show that you are a thought leader in your industry, show that you're going to help people answer their questions if they were to come to you down the road with those questions. Be comfortable. Don't try to be someone you're not. If you run into someone at a networking event on Thursday and then bump into them at the grocery store on Saturday, you really should come off as the same person. Be authentic, be comfortable in your skin while you're at these events. And the third one is every day, every event is going to be different. So don't beat yourself up if you got 10 great conversations at one event and only one conversation or one business card at the next event. Again, it's your energy, it's your rhythm. Keep doing it and just know that if it's a regular group or people that you're seeing peripherally, the more you're seeing at these events, the more that they are going to come to want to know you and get to know you more. So whether you had a conversation with them the first time you met them or the 5th time you saw them at an event, it was important to be at those first 5 meetings before you got together with him.
Patrick, amazing. Can you do me a favor and tell people how
Yes.
they can find you?
You can find me at www.yourpromoguide.com and or on LinkedIn and or on Facebook. So all 3, I got a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page for both myself and promotional guidance, otherwise known as Your Promo Guide.
Amazing. Patrick, thank you so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate it. I know that, you'd love to come into the studio, but this was just perfect, and we got a chance to see your logo.
Good.
So thank you for being here and trudging through the snow. Just kidding.
My pleasure, Ashley. It's a pleasure to be on here. I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Thank you, everybody, for watching Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens, your personal networking concierge on RVN TV, where we talk to the power networkers in the greater Philadelphia and South Jersey area. We will see you next week. If you decide to like to come and be a guest on the show, please email Ashley@ashleyassist.com. Let me know your story and why you're a power networker, and we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.